Today I stumbled upon a reel where a guy um, asked the viewers to guess which characters from yaoi mangas were the bottom and which one was the top. And I was really, I wouldn't say angry, but I didn't like the beginning of that reel because the first thought I had was, how do I determine whether a character is a top or a bottom? And I know it sounds like too woke or too progressive. And first of all, I am too woke and I'm too progressive, and I'm proud of that. I think everyone should be more woke, actually. But in total honesty, how do I determine someone's sexual preference and sexual role just by the way they look? But then when I watched that reel all the way through, it ended up surprising me in a good way, actually, because probably most of the viewers, myself included, would think like, oh, of course, the feminine guy would be the bottom, and the top guy, and the top would be depicted as the masculine one, because that's how most thing in media work. They don't portray reality; they portray stereotypes, and actually it wasn't like that. Yeah, there were some instances where the more masculine character was top and the more feminine one was the bottom, but in many other mangas that he showed, it wasn't the case. It was actually the opposite. But besides that, which was a good thing, the terms of top and bottom made me really uncomfortable. They always made me uncomfortable. I was never comfortable labeling myself as a top or as a bottom, and I wasn't comfortable with people labeling themselves as such terms. I mean, yes, we need to have words, and words have meaning, and they help us group ourselves and identify ourselves with others, and they are a good thing. But I always view those terms as a reinforcement of heterosexuality, even on ourselves as a group outside the heterosexuality. And there's a great free thinker in my country. I mean, I would describe her as a philosopher, but she doesn't identify as a philosopher, so I respect that. But this a woman, a very knowledgeable woman. She's a writer. I don't know. I really admire her. She's from my country, and she says that patriarchy actually isn't the the term of the main term and problem of our society. Actually, heteronormativity is the main problem, because patriarchy is inside the heteronormative system. And I'm not going to explain it as well as she does, and probably many things are going to be missing from my explanation. But basically, what she says is that gender roles are the main problem of our society, and main roles explained every other problem that we have. So patriarchy is included on that, because you can be a trans man, you can be a gay man, you can be a trans woman, you can be a lesbian, you can be a straight person, whatever. You can be whatever you are inside inside the complexity of human sexualities and gender identities. But the heteronormativity is what makes us still be inside these glass cages, because yes, I can be a gay man, but I would identify as a top, or I would identify as a bottom. So based on that, I would be expected to act a certain way, and or maybe the other way, because I act a certain way, I would be expected to be a bottom or a top. And it's so dumb, because sometimes I'm scrolling through Instagram or through Twitter, and I see some guys saying like, "Oh, so the top has to be a provider," or "Oh, I cooked for my top because I, as a bottom, I have to be very caring about my top." Like, it's so, and it's also so possessive. It's so possessive to be that way. Um, I don't know. I have so many thoughts inside my mind when it comes to this topic in particular, that I'm not really sure how to articulate this, but there's many things I want to talk about in regards to this topic. But basically, you are portraying yourself as a heterosexual um, relationship when you identify as top or as a bottom, because you, as a bottom, identifying as a bottom, you are saying, "Oh, I'm like the woman of the relationship," and you are two men in that relationship. And I know that I'm like really extending the meaning of these roles, because identifying as a bottom is just like, okay, you like to get inside your ass, and that's all right. It's perfect. If you only like that type of things, it's all right. And even if you're a bottom, I'm sorry, if and if you are a top, you only like um doing that thing, it's all right. But I'm talking about the psychology and sociology of accepting those ideas inside our community. I'm not just talking about the act of being a bottom or the act of being a top. I'm talking about the identification of those terms, to the merge of our identity as people and as community, and those terms. I think they are quite how do you say, quite hurting. That's a way of saying that. They are damaging to our community. And also, and this is probably a different topic for another video, but I think it's very related. We are like we are transferring gender norms and heteronormative norms to our divergence, to our we as queer people, because right now I'm not only talking about gay men, I'm talking about everyone inside the LGBT community. We as queer people, we had to broke those rules, at least one rule, which was our sexual identity or our gender identity. Why would we conform to all the other rules? Like, yes, maybe you want to be in a relationship, but why does it have to be a monogamous relationship? Why do you have to be a top? Why do you have to be a bottom? Why do you have to be with one person? Why do you have to be in a relationship at all? And I'm saying that as a person who is questioning the past relationships and how do I encounter men in a romantic and sexual way. And I'm saying this as a person who's always been in monogamous relationships and doesn't see himself in a polyamorous or as a non-monogamous person, at least in this moment. But we should at least question that. We shouldn't be expected to be in a relationship, because that's heteronormativity. That's heteronormativity. We can be queer, but also we can be in a heteronormative mindset. And that's damaging because we have to be free from that. We shouldn't um, we shouldn't subtract ourselves to things that we were born to follow. Um, and I think this also applies to straight people. Like heteronormative goes beyond our sexual desires. It goes more on to um, our how do you say this in Spanish? Oh my god. Um, our actions and mindset and the way we act. I don't know how to say the noun of the way we act. Um, I don't know how to say this. I know how to say this in my language, but I don't know how to say it in English. But, anyways, I know this is such a mix of words and sentences, and maybe I'm not making sense. But I like it. I like it to be this way. I don't want to have a script, and I don't want to have like point A to B, point A to B to C to D structure. I want it to be like a stream of thoughts, and you get what you get, and you agree with what you agree, and you disagree with whatever you disagree. But I hope some of you get what I'm saying. Like, and also I want to portray my my thoughts that are against each other. I have contradicting thoughts, and I'm fighting with myself all the time because as a person living in a society, I've grown up to first of all to be with a woman, and then I realized that I wasn't into women, and that's all right. But then I also wanted to be in a relationship with a man, but in a monogamous and serious relationship. And I right now I want to be in one. I have desired to be loved, and I have desired to be loved by the love of my life and be only with one guy, the one who really understands me, and the one who gives all his love to me, and it's only available to me, and I want to own him, and I want to be owned. But when I think about that carefully and I go through all my thoughts, I'm stunned, I'm shocked. Like, why do I want to own someone? Why do I want to be owned by someone? Why am I following heteronormative rules if I'm not heterosexual? Like, society gives us these rules beyond our sexuality, beyond our gender identity. Why do you think so many trans women try to be as womanly as possible? And why? I mean, there's a really important trans woman here in my country, and she was very uh, transgressive and very uh, she really changed media in my country. She's been famous for a very long time. She really helped people understand what trans identities were and why they are deemed of respect, and how damaged that um, that community was by everyone actually. But once she got her gender assisting care, and once she got recognized by the public, she started performing this femininity that wasn't natural for her if we go back to the beginnings of her career. Like, she had this change in personality that was very evident. She was acting in a way that was questionable. And then she started dating a man, and then she said she wanted to have kids, and then she realized that she wanted to get married, and she got married on a chapel. She was married by the with the church, and she wore a white dress, and she um, was blessed by a priest, and she I think she baptized her children. And then when you think about that, she was acting in a cis straight way, even though she wasn't cisgender. She was acting as if she was no, I was going to say she was acting as if she was a cisgender woman, and that would sound like I'm not saying she's a woman. Of course she is. But I think you, as a queer person, have the blessing to be outside of that mindset. And we can really think about and argue, did she really want to have those events in her life, or was she complying to society? Was she actually free from this hell called um, heteronormativity? Was she free actually? And did she really want those things because she desired them? Or was she trying to be like, oh, I'm a trans woman, but I'm like every other woman? I'm like, look at me, I'm getting married in the church, and I'm baptizing my children, and I have a man in my life. Look at me, please accept me. I'm like everyone else. No, you are not, and that's okay. That's what makes us better. That's what makes us free. That what makes us um, unique and not obliged to follow rules. Like, I don't know if this is sounding wrong and discriminatory, but I'm trying to be all the other way. Like, and first of all, I want to say that this also applies to straight people, cis straight people. Like, you have to be free from these glass cages and these weird norms that we have to follow that don't make sense at all. But as queer people, we already changed the view people had on us, and we already broke free from those rules once we accepted our identity and once we showed the world about this. Why would we continue to follow those rules? As a cis straight people, I think it's more difficult because you have to make the first step. We had already done the first step. We already moved from those expectations. Why would we follow that? So, me as a gay man, I'm like, okay, so I don't like women, I like men. Why would I identify as the top? Why would I identify as the bottom? And why would I continue to reinforce these heteronormative roles into my non-heterosexual relationship and in my non-heterosexual identity? So, I've never been comfortable with those labels. And also, I feel like sex is something that we should enjoy, and enjoyment comes from many different ways, and we have to explore our bodies, and different people makes us feel different things. So why would you label yourself as doing something only? Doesn't matter with who you are, how old are you, what stage in your life are, what environment you're in. You maybe like eating ice cream, but eating ice cream is not something that you do all the time, at every time of the day, every time of the week, at every time of the day. You like eating ice cream at some point in your week, at some time of your day, at some period of the year. Okay, so sex is the same. It's something that you enjoy, but you can enjoy it in many different ways. Why would you label yourself as something that makes you static? It's not dynamic. It's not. I don't know. I hate that. Like, everyone should identify themselves as versatile, in my opinion. Well, actually, not versatile. There shouldn't be like a word for top or for bottom. You like doing things, and you like doing things in many different ways with different people, and with different people you like to do different things, and that's all right, because our bodies are unique on this. I don't know. It makes me feel so sad for people who don't enjoy life, sex life, as much as they could. And I'm not saying this as a sex guru. I'm not saying this as someone who has a very active sexual life, because I don't. I haven't had sex in like 2 years. But I'm not talking about the sexual activity. I'm talking about freedom. We have to be free. We have to be the we have to be willing to explore every corner of our bodies, and these linguistic ways of determining ourselves makes us be slaves of society, and don't makes us free from ourselves. We are trapped inside our minds. We are trapped inside our minds, and we are trapped inside our communities, and well, not communities, our society. I don't know. I don't know. I hope at least some of this made sense, at least a little bit. I know I just rambled a lot, but whatever.